We made it. We made it through a very tough week, and we're here and we're excited. I'm Carrie Champion. This is First Take. Skip Bayless is in studio.
Let's talk some football.
It's Football Friday. What
Whoa.
about this? Can I say something briefly? I told you this just before we went on air. I love this suit.
Thank you.
Let's see what Stephen A. thinks about it.
Maybe I got a chance today.
Maybe Stephen A. in Los Angeles. What? No tie. Extremely casual. You know I like that look as well. My gentlemen are bringing it.
We try. Skip, the suit does look a little bit dapper. I'm impressed. It's rare, but you do have your moments.
Well, I'll bet you got good sleep last night. I didn't get much, but I think you got good sleep.
You know what?
You look refreshed.
Come on.
You know what? The Steelers made me sick. I got sick. I took a NyQuil.
Did you really?
I've been sick all morning, but I'm feeling better now.
Okay,
But you know,
good.
the Steelers made me sick to my stomach.
Let's talk
watching
about
last
that.
night. I'll admit that.
Stephen A., you're entitled to get a little extra rest. You're in Los Angeles. What time is it there? It's early. You're entitled to get a little extra rest.
It's cool. Listen, when the show starts, I'm here.
That's
Let's
all that
roll.
matters. Coming up on the show today, this is a private joke, folks. NFL veteran Jay Feely will join the desk for our Football Friday. He is our guest debater. What a great guy. I'm glad to have him here. Plus, the NFL and its players are close to finalizing a new drug agreement we shall discuss. But first, to M&T Stadium, where the Ravens beat the Steelers 26-6. Ravens have won 5 of the last 7 meetings in this series, going back to 2011. Flacco, 11 of 13 for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. After the game, the Ravens talked about the win despite the well-known distractions.
We've been through a lot together, so no matter what it is, I think that we're a team that tends to group together and come together through tough times, and I never had a doubt that we wouldn't be able to come out here and go get a win tonight.
The message was pretty straightforward. It was just, we got a football game to play. You know, we care about our families. You know, we care about the Rice family. Our guys do. You know, it's part of our family, and we had a tough family situation this week, and I thought our guys handled it tremendously well, with class, with character, and they responded.
All right, so Stephen A., despite the Steelers clearly making you sick, what was your takeaway from the game last night?
Well, my takeaway from the game, give the Baltimore Ravens kudos because they showed up ready to roar. It's just that simple. Obviously, they were incredibly distracted with this whole Ray Rice fiasco. They have their own personal feelings about it, but they went out on the field and they took their frustrations or whatever feelings they may have been feeling all out on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were devoid of any big plays last night. No touchdowns, no sacks, no forced turnovers. I mean, they just didn't get anything done. They looked completely anemic. And when you look at Bernard Pierce filling in for Ray Rice, 96 yards, 22 carries, gave you a ground game. The Baltimore Ravens overall accumulated about 157 yards on the ground. They just seemed to be tougher, more physical in the Steelers' face, and the Steelers seemed ill-equipped to do anything about it. You got Brown with his fumble. You got Heath Miller with his fumble. You just looked around, and then the Steelers just looked completely overwhelmed and outclassed. We're not accustomed to seeing the Steelers in this fashion. They looked considerably softer than the Baltimore Ravens, and the fact that that is the case with a Pittsburgh Steelers squad is incredibly alarming because, again, it's been 2 years in a row that they haven't made the playoffs. Skip, you know how I feel about Mike Tomlin. You know how fond I am of him, but I'm looking at this team right now, and they're just underperforming. As far as I'm concerned, maybe not. I should take that back. It's not that they're underperforming. They don't look up to the task talent-wise, which makes me look at GM Kevin Colbert. So I just don't know. But when it comes to the Ravens, they showed up ready. In a game of football, more than anything else, emotions can really, really push you and propel you to another level. It's not just about skill. It's not just about game planning. All of those things are relevant. But what really stands out more than anything else is when you have that extra fervor sifting through your veins because of whatever reason, and you allow those emotions to show up on the field. Sometimes, indeed, it does work for you. And I think in the case of the Baltimore Ravens, it worked for them last night.
For Mike Tomlin's sake, I wish I could disagree with some of your points, and I can't. So I'm going to pile on. I'm going to ask you, as a longtime Steelers fan, what does it say to you that the Bengals from this division won at Baltimore a week ago, as you know, on opening Sunday, and that the Ravens have now soundly beaten the Steelers in Baltimore, And in Pittsburgh on opening Sunday, Brian Hoyer's Browns scored 24 second-half points to tie the game at 27, and it took a last-second field goal from Pittsburgh to survive that one. Well, obviously it tells me the Pittsburgh Steelers are in huge trouble, and it also tells me they are going to be the odd team out in this division. I still think the Bengals will win it. I think the Ravens will win a wild card, and I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers will miss the playoffs, which would mean Mike Tomlin could be in some trouble. Again, he is beloved by his management and should be. But you tell me, I'll give the floor quickly back to you. You tell me, if they miss the playoffs a second straight year, can he survive that?
Is it a second?
I think he can survive it. There will be they will be calling for his head. Wouldn't that be the third straight year?
Third straight.
If they don't make
sorry,
this year? Yeah. But I think he can survive it. But I'll tell you the only reason he could, for two reasons. Number one, I'm not sure he's had the talent to work with, which should make us look at the GM and the level of talent that he's bringing him to work with. That's number one. And number two, Mike Tomlin's got a Super Bowl ring too, and 2 Super Bowl berths.
Yep.
Tom Coughlin has missed the playoffs 4 of his last 5 years.
Yep, good point.
Okay,
fair point.
And somehow, some way, he's been able to keep his job.
It's the
so
same.
if he can keep his job,
yeah, I know.
Mike Tomlin should be able to keep his. But I do understand.
Yeah,
I do understand.
There's another coach who's beloved by his ownership and management. Okay, so again, not to pile on, but so Pittsburgh turns it over 3 times last night and scores a total of 6 points. And the Baltimore offense, which I'm not sure is a juggernaut led by Joe Flacco.
It's not.
Just think about the second half. The Ravens had the ball first and goal at the 9, first and goal at the 5, and first and goal at the 1. And all 3 times, Mr. Smith, they came away with only 3 points. So kudos to Pittsburgh for hanging tough. But my point is, the final score easily could have been 34-6. I'm being conservative here. That's how bad it got for Pittsburgh in the second half of the game. They can't run the football, and obviously we've always known that Pittsburgh can run the football. LeGarrette Blount, who was a closer last year for the New England Patriots, and I think they miss him. He's deep in Tomlin's doghouse still after the preseason incident that we all know about. He had only 3 carries last night. And Ben Roethlisberger, I got to say, he's just off. It holds the ball too long. He sort of, how many sacks? I think he went down a couple times, twice. But they were coverage type sacks. He's just holding, which leads us back to your point about the GM. After Antonio Brown, how many weapons does he really have that he trusts? Maybe Heath Miller, I don't know. Wheaton had a couple of catches. I don't know. I'm not looking at a team that I think has playoff potential. In that division, I think they run 3rd. Unless, of course, Johnny Manziel takes over, then they could run last.
That's
but
after
you
the
never
bye
know.
week.
That's after the bye week.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It was a sad night for Pittsburgh and for the Ravens. Again, we all thought they might be a little unfocused. This was just what the doctor ordered for the home team Ravens last night because they don't like them, some Steelers. We know that. And the Steelers just aren't very good. So the combination of that led to Baltimore having a pretty good night.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I really don't have much to say, Skip.
All right.
Because it's my Steelers, and you know how I feel about them.
Well, there you go. He doesn't
and
have much to say.
I'm pretty ticked off that they looked as bad as they looked. I mean, I remember. I mean, if you're going to lose, give me 2017.
Yep.
Give me 24-20. Give me something like that.
All right. Skip and Stephen A. both feel as if the Steelers do not look as if they have playoff potential. Teams that start 1-1 at the beginning of the season have a 41% chance of making the playoffs. So says our stats. Let's move on. Seahawks at Chargers on Sunday. The defending Super Bowl champions are on the road in a non-division matchup. The Chargers coming off a loss to the Cardinals. Seahawks with a member of the secondary, 2 members of the secondary down. Thurl Simon will miss 4 weeks because of knee surgery, and cornerback Jeremy Lane injured his groin against Green Bay. So the Chargers defense during the preseason was overwhelmed by the Seattle Seahawks offense. Perhaps it will be more of the same or not. Skip Bayless, what do you expect this time around?
Stephen A. Smith, you've got me over a barrel on this one. I must admit I'm in big trouble in making the pick on this game because you might remember, or maybe hopefully you won't remember, I went in stone on this before the year. I said Seattle will win the Super Bowl.
Yes, you did.
Seattle will go 15-1.
Yes, you did.
Seattle will lose in week 2 at
yes, you did.
my surprise
Roll the
team.
tape. Roll the tape.
My breakout team. We aren't actually. I'm doing the tape right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. We don't need the tape because I'm restating the tape. And why did I say that San Diego is going to be my breakout team and dethrone Denver in the division? You recall last year San Diego finished strong. They won their last 4 in the regular season, including that Thursday night game at Denver. They went to Cincinnati and were highly impressive, winning 27-10 in the wild card game. And then they gave Peyton all he wanted in the divisional playoff game back in Denver and finally lost by 7, 24-17. So I'm thinking, okay, here we go, Chargers. And here we didn't go. On Monday night, as you know, they were up 17-6 at Arizona, and I have a lot of respect for Arizona, but still up 17-6, and you know the rest of the story. Phillip Rivers muffs or misses a shotgun snap. They're in field goal range. They're out of field goal range. Then they let Carson Palmer out of jail. It's 3rd and 10 at his 9-yard line. He ran for a first down, and all of a sudden, Arizona wins the opener 18-17, and my team, quote unquote, is in trouble because here comes a Seattle that was even more dominant in its opener against Green Bay than even I thought Seattle would be. There was only one weakness I saw on opening night, and that was Earl Thomas, high risk, high reward, trying to return punts. They replaced him, and they went low risk, low reward with Brian Walters. He's not going to return any for touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure he can catch the punt or fair catch the punt. So weakness averted. That's the only weakness they have. They're flawless. And not only that, but they've had 10 days to get ready for the Chargers, who have had a short week to prepare, even at home, for here come the Seahawks. So Stephen A., let me finish real quick. I would go Ron Burgundy here, but I can't say that on TV. You know, like I can't say that on TV. So I give up. No, I cannot. I can't say it, but you know what I'm thinking? I'm dead. I'm dead.
Well, I'm just saying to you. I'm just saying to you, Skip, what I was trying to interject was to ask a question. Are you modifying or going against the courage of your convictions? I mean, what are we doing here? I need clarity, Skip.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't understand. I don't comprehend. What is it that you're saying, Skip?
Okay, here's what I'm saying.
Are you saying that you're going to retract your statement that the Seahawks are going to lose week 2 to San Diego Chargers? I'm just asking.
In my 10 years on this show, have I ever retracted? No, I have not. Not on a prediction.
Not sure about it. I had to look that up. I think it might have happened with the Cowboys once or twice. I'm just saying.
Don't do that. I'm not going to do it. Here's my point. I'm going with the huge upset pick of San Diego winning 20-19, I'm saying.
Okay.
And I wouldn't bet the shirt you're wearing today on it. I wouldn't bet
20-19.
I wouldn't bet a penny on this. But I got to say it. I'm stuck.
What would Ron Burgundy say exactly? He'd say, good luck, San Diego.
I don't remember that movie.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right.
Yeah, good luck, San Diego.
Skip Bayless, we all know that you're going to be wrong this weekend.
Yeah.
We just understand it. And, I mean, listen, San Diego was on the road, but they went against a good Arizona team.
Yep.
Didn't rush the ball particularly well. Ryan Matthews, as speedy as he is, only had 40 yards rushing. Something's missing, Skip. Maybe it's age, maybe it's attrition. I know he's still talented. I know he's still in the starting lineup. But Antonio Gates doesn't seem to be the same.
Okay.
It just doesn't. I know he had 6 receptions, 81 yards. He knows how to be effective. I get all of that. But he wasn't going against the Legion of Boom. He is this weekend. Now, I will say this to you. There is hope. There is a silver lining, Skip Bayless. And that would be the fact that the game is not in Seattle. It's in San Diego.
Yep.
So being on your home turf, your home opener against the Super Bowl champions, you know that the Chargers are going to be riled up, ready to go. You know they're going to be hyped for this game. You know the crowd in San Diego is going to be hyped for this game. We get all of that. I still think they're losing this game. But I'm not going to sleep on the Chargers trying to make this interesting. It's at the end of the day, Phillip Rivers can ball. I believe in Phillip Rivers. But not in comparison to that bad man, that was just bad last week against Seattle and Aaron Rodgers. And to me, Phillip Rivers is a stationary target. And he's going to have some problems against this defense known as the Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom. I can't see San Diego winning this game. I see the Seattle Seahawks led by Russell Wilson, with the Percy Harvin, with the Doug Baldwin, with this guy Ricardo Lockett, who I like. I like what I see from him thus far. And, of course, beast mode, Marshawn Lynch. I don't see, I mean, listen, I don't have to get into the defense. We know that. Not only do I think San Diego is going to lose, I still give them credit for this. I believe that Phillip Rivers is going to try Richard Sherman. I don't think he, along with McCoy, are going to run from Richard Sherman all game long like Aaron Rodgers did.
We'll talk about
they're
that,
gonna
though,
try
Stephen A. Later
we
in the
are
show.
going to talk about that. But wait a second. I got to ask, is that a good thing or a bad thing that you're talking about here?
I think it's going to be a bad thing, but I still applaud the attempt.
All right. I agree. So my last question to you is, given how much respect you have gained for Seattle, are you ready to retract your Super Bowl prediction of New England over New Orleans?
It's too early.
Not yet. Not yet. Because I need to see a couple of more games from New Orleans to see who they really are defensively before I make that modification.
Fair enough. I just want to give him a chance. Well, I didn't retract mine either.
Okay.
So I'm trying to give you a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone's giving everyone a chance. Listen, you heard
need
the
it more than me right now.
I do.
Bayless says that the Chargers will beat the flawless Seahawks 20-19. Not very convincing. Yeah, he's laughing. So whatever. Stephen A. says, obviously, that the Seahawks will win. We want to know what you think. Clearly, I'm rolling with the Seahawks. During his disciplinary hearing on June 16th, Ray Rice told Commissioner Roger Goodell that he punched his then-fiancée, Janae, and knocked her unconscious in a casino elevator. That's what 4 sources told our Outside the Lines. Those accounts contradict Goodell's statement in an interview this week with CBS News when he said when he met with Ray Rice and his fiancée, he was ambiguous about what actually happened. One source with knowledge of the meeting told Outside the Lines that Ray didn't lie to the commissioner. He told the truth, the full truth to Goodell. He made it clear he had hit her, and he told Goodell he was sorry and that it wouldn't happen again. Our second source said there was no ambiguity about what happened. 2 other sources confirmed how the information was relayed at the meeting. But a 5th source with knowledge of the meeting said Rice told Goodell he, quote, slapped his then-fiancée. A spokesperson for the NFL declined to comment. Our next guest spent 13 years in the NFL as a kicker. Still a free agent, correct?
Still a free agent.
Yeah, don't make it past tense.
No retired mug for me.
Yeah, you're not retiring. You're still available for anyone who's interested. You are on the NFL Executive Committee, Players Association Executive Committee, and you have had a relationship with Goodell, just by way of background for our viewers. Had issues with him, have discussed it at some point, and so I want to talk about his future. Pending everything that's happened, everything that went down, what do you think his future is in terms of being the commissioner?
Well, Carrie, there's no question that Roger botched this entire episode from the beginning all the way up until now. But like Stephen A. said yesterday, unless he saw the video and lied about it, I don't believe he's done something egregious. You know, if you go back and you look, I sat across from him at the negotiation table in the CBA negotiations. I was one of his biggest critics of the Saints bounty scandal on this show. And Skip, you and I talked about it many times. And I thought that it was very mishandled by the commissioner, even going beyond mishandled. I thought that what he did to some of the players like Scott Fajita and Jonathan Vilma was disgraceful. I could very easily come on here and just bash him and jump on top of him and take this opportunity to say that he's a bad commissioner, that I don't trust him, that he should be kicked out of the NFL, that they need to get somebody else. And we've had our battles. When I was with the Jets and he came in and met with the teams during the lockout, he and I went back and forth. He even said to me, you know, we can step outside if you want.
And what did you say?
And I said, no, we're going to do it right here in front of all the players.
And then what did he say?
And then we did. Well, we went back and forth.
But not physically.
No, not physically.
Okay, because that's what
verbally,
I'm thinking.
Jousting verbally, yes. And going back and forth.
Roger meant
and
physically.
holding him accountable for what he was saying. But in this instance, I don't believe that he's done something that would cost him his job, nor do I think that you should even consider that. And really, there's 3 areas of concern for him when it comes to credibility. It's the fans, the players, and the owners. And let's take the easiest one, the owners. If you look at the owners, for him, he has given them a CBA that's 10 years long. That gives them cost certainty. Yeah. That allows them to create leverage in the negotiations with TV contracts. They have record profits. And I'll give you one number. $1.4 billion. That's what one of the least valued franchises, the Buffalo Bills, just reportedly was sold for. When you look at those things, the owners are going to be happy with him, they're going to trust him, and they want to keep him. If you look at it from a player standpoint, really the bounty scandal kind of undermined any chance he had to have trust with the players. Then you look at the negotiation of the CBA. Players inherently aren't going to trust him anyways because they view him on the other side. And I really don't think that matters. Whether the players trust him or not, I don't think that matters for the game. They're going to go out there. You're going to play as hard as you can. And your loyalty is to your team and your teammates. Now, when it comes to the fans, that's the one that really matters. And the fans have to trust that Roger Goodell puts the game first. That the trust of the game is entrusted to him, and he has to not put finances first, not hide things. They have to believe that the decisions he makes, especially when they're decisions that they don't like when it comes to changing the rules. Yeah. And from a defensive standpoint, a lot of fans don't like that. They have to trust that he's making decisions for the best interest of the game, not the best interest of the owners. That's where he has a credibility problem right now, but I don't think that problem is insurmountable.
All right, Stephen A.
I completely agree with Jay. It's good to see you, Jay. Thanks for coming on the show, by the way.
Too.
But let me be very, very clear. I've steadfastly maintained that Roger Goodell's job should not be in jeopardy unless we know or learn that Roger Goodell saw that video and decided to sweep it under the rug and still give Ray Rice 2 games. 2-game suspension. And I'd like to add reiterate what I said yesterday. Guys, if Roger Goodell had seen the video in light of that possibility, would he not have said, here's the video, I didn't like it, I'm going to suspend him indefinitely, at the time that he had implemented the new domestic violence policy calling for a 6-game suspension for a first-time offender and then a lifetime ban for a second-time offender? Remember, during that same statement when he came in with the letter to the owners, he said, I was wrong. I dropped the ball. So that would have been the perfect time to basically retroactively suspend Ray Rice indefinitely. And he didn't do it at that time. So to me, that sends a message that he may not have seen the video. If we find that he saw the video, he should be fired, to be quite honest with you. But absent of that, I think all of this talk about him potentially losing his job is utterly ridiculous. I stand corrected on the whole Bounty Gate situation, Jay. I was against Skip. I was against you on that. My attitude was, if you've got Greg Williams dead to rights and you got Sean Payton dead to rights for lying to your face and you suspended him for the year, then I thought that it was all lumped into a bowl as it pertained to the players. Once Paul Tagliabue came in, did his investigation, and essentially exonerated Fajita and Jonathan Vilma in my eyes, I came on the air and apologized. I was wrong when it came to that. I was wrong when it came to your position on it. I was wrong when it came to Skip's position on it. Because I'm here thinking that the NFL security department is elite. It's a multi-billion-dollar establishment. And if they got the coach and the defensive coordinator dead to rights, then the likelihood is what they got on the players is legit. And clearly that didn't appear to be the case. So for me, we all recognize that Roger Goodell has his fallibilities. He has his flaws. We know that he's not perfect. He definitely dropped the ball here. He made mistakes. There is no question about that. But is it a fireable offense? Not only do I think that answer is an emphatic no, I think it's ridiculous for folks to even question it.
So, Stephen A., you now have an ally at the desk in Jay, and I must admit to you, I'm surprised by Jay's position. I'm surprised at how strongly he's defending the commissioner in the wake of Bounty Gate and now a situation that you said up front he has botched. I think it's beyond botched to me. And I know you might ultimately have a future in politics. The old political saying is the cover-up can be even worse than the crime. Well, that could be going on here because neither of you...
I'd vote for Jay.
Okay.
I'd vote for Jay.
So would I.
But I'd vote for you too, Stephen A.
No, you wouldn't.
Please,
don't encourage him.
He's a politician, so you already said it. He's a politician.
Okay. Now, I don't want to retry this crime in the court of public opinion because we've been doing it for about 3 days here. Yeah. But the point is, neither of you brought up the Associated Press story in which it seemed pretty well nailed down by a highly respected news agency that the tape got to the National Football League offices, that a female voice on a voicemail says, yes, we received it, and it's terrible. Okay, so my point to him has been all week that you can either drop the ball or refuse to pick the ball up because you just don't even care about what's on that tape. You've already made your choice. You don't really get involved in domestic violence disputes or abuse or what. It's our policy. We just kind of stay away. We sweep those under the carpet. Well, that's just as bad as watching the video and still saying it's 2 games. That's just me. So in the bigger picture here, we have a man who then went to the links to, as I said yesterday, he threw Ray Rice under the bus. And according to 4 out of the 5 sources, that was a lie on the commissioner's part. He wasn't ambiguous. I hate to use that word lie. He was less than truthful. But what I'm shocked about, Jay, is that this man, for whom we all have respect, he's done a terrific job in the big picture with the prosperity unprecedented in this league. But I'm shocked this man keeps digging and digging a deeper hole for himself on this issue. And this is a flashpoint issue. And I'm going to read a quick portion of the letter he sent to Ray Rice when he suspended him for the 2 games. He said, this league is an entity that relies on integrity and the confidence of the public. The confidence of the public. That's what he told Ray Rice.
That's what I talked about.
Okay. So how much confidence do the public now have in the commissioner? Well, let's turn those tables. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're
You are right. And the public has to have confidence and trust in him that the integrity of the game matters to him. But the guy that I know, the guy that I sat across from many times at that negotiating table, is a very smart man. He's very cunning,
I get
smart. He looks forward 3 steps, like when you're playing chess. I can't see a guy like that knowing the video exists and either not wanting to see it or not acknowledging it or lying about it. He's not that dumb. He wouldn't do that. There's no way that he would understand.
Or is it that smart?
No. He would never know that tape exists and push it aside or not view it, because he knows at some point somebody gave that tape to the office and they're going to come out and they're going to talk about it. The guy that I know, he's a good person. He has a good heart. He truly does care about the players, even though I've disagreed with him many times and fought against him many times. I think he's a very good person who cares about the game and cares about players and their welfare. And I don't believe that he would have seen that video or known about that video and not, like Stephen A. said, taken more stiff actions, because he had the perfect opportunity to go out there and do it when he revised the policy.
Okay, but we know that good people sometimes make really bad decisions.
He did make a bad decision when he only suspended him for 2 games. And when they didn't pursue that video, when they didn't go to whatever lengths they could go to acquire that video and know what was on it.
So, Stephen A., it's a bad decision, not purposeful. What did you want to add?
Well, the whole point is that Skip is talking about reports and he's talking about what people said. You know, it's almost tantamount to people asking, and this is in a totally different level, but stay with me on this, guys. When the whole Donald Sterling thing went down, people were saying, well, why did the NBA not do more about some of the accusations levied against Donald Sterling? When you're already in the house, then it's entirely different than somebody trying to get into the house. Or when you're already in the fraternity, rather, fraternity would be a better word than house. You're already in. Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL. Somebody saying, well, there was no ambiguity. He was told and he knew. Well, Roger Goodell said he did it. So that makes it your word against his. And if that's all you've got, that's not enough to get rid of a commissioner. Now, if he was trying to become the commissioner and the issue of integrity and public trust was a criteria and he's not the commissioner yet and he's trying to get voted in, Jay, wouldn't he have a problem? I'm sure he would.
Wait, time out, Steve.
But he's already in.
Time out. Skip, can you respond to that? Your word against his? That's not enough to get rid of Roger Goodell.
We have a whole bunch of words against the commissioner. And of course, we got the Mueller investigation now. I'm really going to take that to the bank. But
well, I'll make one final point. There's 32 owners that have to get rid of him. The public don't get rid of him. The players don't get rid of him. And those 32 owners are very happy with the job he's done.
Here's the point. To the bottom line, it's all about the finances. If some of the major sponsors get cold feet and pull out, that could turn up the heat on the commissioner's seat. And USA Today has a good story about projecting what could happen with the major sponsors.
Little nugget of information on my radio show yesterday, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. That's right, I'm giving it a plug. Adam Schefter came on the show. And Adam Schefter said, quote, you have owners on the record that are saying, a couple of them have said they've used the word witch hunt for folks coming at Roger Goodell. He said, however, there are other owners that, for one reason or another, don't appear to be all that pleased with Roger Goodell and have raised the eyebrow. So the only caveat I would say, or modification, Jay, that I would say is that when you say the 32 owners love him, I got the impression they're not all 32. There are some. So who knows? I guess we could keep our eyes open and keep a watch on this. But by and large, Roger Goodell has the support of the owners. We see where it goes from there.
You want to add something to that? Politician? Governor?
Rest my case.
Governor.
No, senator. Senator.
Forget governor. Senator. Senator's the way to go. Senator's the way to go.
Come on.
Senator Feely's in the house, and he's sticking around to tell us a little more. During his disciplinary hearing on June 16th, Ray Rice told Commissioner Roger Goodell that he punched his then-fiancée Janae and knocked her unconscious in a casino elevator. That's what 4 sources told our Outside the Lines. Those accounts contradict Goodell's statement in an interview this week with CBS News when he said when he met with Ray Rice and his fiancée, he was ambiguous about what actually happened. One source with knowledge of the meeting told Outside the Lines that Ray didn't lie to the commissioner. He told the truth, the full truth to Goodell. He made it clear he had hit her, and he told Goodell he was sorry and that it wouldn't happen again. Our second source said there was no ambiguity about what happened. 2 other sources confirmed how the information was relayed at the meeting. But a 5th source with knowledge of the meeting said Rice told Goodell he, quote, slapped his then-fiancée. A spokesperson for the NFL declined to comment. Our next guest spent 13 years in the NFL as a kicker. Still a free agent, correct?
Still a free agent.
Yeah, don't make it past due.
No retired mug for me.
Yeah, you're not retiring. You're still available for anyone who's interested. You are on the NFL Executive Committee, Players Association Executive Committee, and you have had a relationship with Goodell. Just by way of background for our viewers, had issues with him, have discussed it at some point, and so I want to talk about his future. Pending everything that's happened, everything that went down, what do you think his future is in terms of being the commissioner?
Well, Carrie, there's no question that Roger botched this entire episode from the beginning all the way up until now. But like Stephen A. said yesterday, unless he saw the video and lied about it, I don't believe he's done something egregious. You know, if you go back and you look, I sat across from him at the negotiation table in the CBA negotiations. I was one of his biggest critics of the Saints bounty scandal on this show. And Skip, you and I talked about it many times. And I thought that it was very mishandled by the commissioner, even going beyond mishandled. I thought that what he did to some of the players like Scott Fajita and Jonathan Vilma was disgraceful. I could very easily come on here and just bash him and jump on top of him and take this opportunity to say that he's a bad commissioner, that I don't trust him, that he should be kicked out of the NFL, that they need to get somebody else. And we've had our battles. When I was with the Jets and he came in and met with the teams during the lockout, he and I went back and forth. He even said to me, you know, we can step outside if you want.
And what did you say?
And I said, no, we're going to do it right here in front of all the players.
And then what did he say?
And then we did. Well, we went back and forth.
But not physically.
Not physically.
Okay, because that's what
verbally,
I'm thinking.
Jousting verbally, yes. And going back and forth.
Roger meant
and holding him accountable for what he was saying. But in this instance, I don't believe that he's done something that would cost him his job, nor do I think that you should even consider that. And really, there's 3 areas of concern for him when it comes to credibility. It's the fans, the players, and the owners. And let's take the easiest one, the owners. If you look at the owners, for him, he has given them a CBA that's 10 years long. That gives them cost certainty. Yeah. That allows them to create leverage in the negotiations with TV contracts. They have record profits. And I'll give you one number, $1.4 billion. That's what one of the least valued franchises, the Buffalo Bills, just reportedly was sold for. When you look at those things, the owners are going to be happy with him. They're going to trust him, and they want to keep him. If you look at it from a player standpoint, really the bounty scandal kind of undermined any chance he had to have trust with the players. Then you look at the negotiation, the CBA players inherently aren't going to trust him anyways because they view him on the other side. And I really don't think that matters. Whether the players trust him or not, I don't think that matters for the game. They're going to go out there, you're going to play as hard as you can, and your loyalty is to your team and your teammates. Now, when it comes to the fans, that's the one that really matters. And the fans have to trust that Roger Goodell puts the game first, that the trust of the game is entrusted to him, and he has to not put finances first, not hide things. They have to believe that the decisions he makes, especially when they're decisions that they don't like when it comes to changing the rules. Yeah. And from a defensive standpoint, a lot of fans don't like that. They have to trust that he's making decisions for the best interest of the game, not the best interest of the owners. That's where he has a credibility problem right now, but I don't think that problem is insurmountable.
All right, Stephen A.
I completely agree with Jay. It's good to see you, Jay. Thanks for coming on the show, by the way.
Too.
But let me be very, very clear. I've steadfastly maintained that Roger Goodell's job should not be in jeopardy unless we know or learn that Roger Goodell saw that video and decided to sweep it under the rug and still give Ray Rice 2 games, 2-game suspension. And I'd like to add reiterate what I said yesterday. Guys, if Roger Goodell had seen the video in light of that possibility, would he not have said, here's the video, I didn't like it, I'm going to suspend him indefinitely, at the time that he had implemented the new domestic violence policy calling for a 6-game suspension for a first-time offender and then a lifetime ban for a second-time offender? Remember, during that same statement when he came with the letter to the owners, he said, I was wrong. I dropped the ball. So that would have been the perfect time to basically retroactively suspend Ray Rice indefinitely. And he didn't do it at that time. So to me, that sends a message that he may not have seen the video. If we find that he saw the video, he should be fired, to be quite honest with you. But absent of that, I think all of this talk about him potentially losing his job is utterly ridiculous. I stand corrected on the whole Bounty Gate situation, Jay. I was against Skip. I was against you on that. My attitude was, if you've got Greg Williams dead to rights and you got Sean Payton dead to rights for lying to your face and you suspended him for the year, then I thought that it was all lumped into a bowl as it pertained to the players. Once Paul Tagliabue came in, did his investigation, and essentially exonerated Vegeta and Jonathan Vilma in my eyes, I came on the air and apologized. I was wrong when it came to that. I was wrong when it came to your position on it. I was wrong when it came to Skip's position on it. Because I'm here thinking that the NFL security department is elite. It's a multi-billion-dollar establishment. And if they got the coach and the defensive coordinator dead to rights, then the likelihood is what they got on the players is legit. And clearly that didn't appear to be the case. So for me, we all recognize that Roger Goodell has his fallibilities. He has his flaws. We know that he's not perfect. He definitely dropped the ball here. He made mistakes. There is no question about that. But is it a fireable offense? Not only do I think that answer is an emphatic no, I think it's ridiculous for folks to even question it.
So, Stephen A., you now have an ally at the desk in Jay, and I must admit to you, I'm surprised by Jay's position. I'm surprised at how strongly he's defending the commissioner in the wake of Bounty Gate and now a situation that you said up front he has botched. I think it's beyond botched to me. And I know you might ultimately have a future in politics. The old political saying is the cover-up can be even worse than the crime. Well, that could be going on here because neither of you...
I'd vote for Jay.
Okay.
I'd vote for Jay.
So would I.
But I'd vote for you too, Stephen A.
No, you wouldn't.
Please
don't encourage him.
He's a politician. So you already said it. He's a politician.
Okay. Now, I don't want to retry this crime in the court of public opinion because we've been doing it for about 3 days here. Yeah. But the point is, neither of you brought up the Associated Press story in which it seemed pretty well nailed down by a highly respected news agency that the tape got to the National Football League offices, that a female voice on a voicemail says, yes, we received it, and it's terrible. Okay, so my point to him has been all week that You can either drop the ball or refuse to pick the ball up because you just don't even care about what's on that tape. You've already made your choice. You don't really get involved in domestic violence disputes or abuse or what. It's our policy. We just kind of stay away. We sweep those under the carpet. Well, that's just as bad as watching the video and still saying it's 2 games. That's just me. So in the bigger picture here, we have a man who then went to the lengths to, as I said yesterday, he threw Ray Rice under the bus. And according to 4 out of the 5 sources, that was a lie on the commissioner's part. He wasn't ambiguous. I hate to use that word lie. He was less than truthful. But what I'm shocked about, Jay, is that this man, for whom we all have respect, he's done a terrific job in the big picture with the prosperity unprecedented in this league. But I'm shocked this man keeps digging and digging a deeper hole for himself on this issue. And this is a flashpoint issue. And I'm going to read a quick portion of the letter he sent to Ray Rice when he suspended him for the 2 games. He said, "This league is an entity that relies on integrity and the confidence of the public." The confidence of the public. That's what he told Ray Rice.
That's what I talked about.
Okay. So how much confidence do the public now have in the commissioner? Well, let's turn those tables. Am I right?
Yeah, no,
you are right. And the public has to have confidence and trust in him that the integrity of the game matters to him. But the guy that I know, the guy that I sat across from many times at that negotiating table, is a very smart man. He's very cunning, smart. He looks forward 3 steps, like when you're playing chess. I can't see a guy like that knowing the video exists and either not wanting to see it or not acknowledging it or lying about it. He's not that dumb. He wouldn't do that. There's no way that he would understand.
Or is it that smart?
No. He would never know that tape exists and push it aside or not view it, because he knows at some point somebody gave that tape to the office and they're going to come out and they're going to talk about it. The guy that I know, he's a good person. He has a good heart. He truly does care about the players, even though I've disagreed with him many times and fought against him many times. I think he's a very good person who cares about the game and cares about players and their welfare. And I don't believe that he would have seen that video or known about that video and not, like Stephen A. said, taken more stiff actions, because he had the perfect opportunity to go out there and do it when he revised the policy.
Okay, but we know that good people sometimes make really bad decisions.
He did make a bad decision when he only suspended him for 2 games. And when they didn't pursue that video, when they didn't go to whatever lengths they could go to acquire that video and know what was on it.
So, Stephen A., it's a bad decision, not purposeful. What did you want to add?
The whole point is that Skip is talking about reports and he's talking about what people said. You know, it's almost tantamount to people asking, and this is on a totally different level, but stay with me on this, guys. When the whole Donald Sterling thing went down, people were saying, well, why did the NBA not do more about some of the accusations levied against Donald Sterling? When you're already in the house, then it's entirely different than somebody trying to get into the house. Or when you're already in the fraternity, rather, the fraternity would be a better word than the house. You're already in. Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL. Somebody's saying, well, there was no ambiguity. He was told and he knew. Well, Roger Goodell said he did it. So that makes it your word against his. And if that's all you've got, that's not enough to get rid of a commissioner. Now, if he was trying to become the commissioner and the issue of integrity and public trust was a criteria and he's not the commissioner yet and he's trying to get voted in, Jay, wouldn't he have a problem? I'm sure he would.
Wait, time out, Steve.
But he's already in.
Time out. Skip, can you respond to that? Your word against his? That's not enough to get rid of Roger Goodell.
We have a whole bunch of words against the commissioner. And of course, we got the Mueller investigation now. I'm really going to take that to the bank. But
well, I'll make one final point. There's 32 owners that have to get rid of him. The public don't get rid of him. The players don't get rid of him. And those 32 owners are very happy with the job he's done.
Here's the point. To the bottom line, it's all about the finances. If some of the major sponsors get cold feet and pull out, that could turn up the heat on the commissioner's seat. And USA Today has a good story about projecting what could happen with the major sponsors.
Little nugget of information on my radio show yesterday, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. That's right, I'm giving it a plug. Adam Schefter came on the show. And Adam Schefter said, quote, you have owners on the record that are saying, a couple of them have said they've used the word witch hunt for folks coming at Roger Goodell. He said, however, there are other owners that, for one reason or another, don't appear to be all that pleased with Roger Goodell and have raised the eyebrow. So the only caveat I would say, or modification, Jay, that I would say is that when you say the 32 owners love him, I got the impression they're not all 32. There are some. So who knows? I guess we could keep our eyes open and keep a watch on this. But by and large, Roger Goodell has the support of the owners. We see where it goes from there.
You want to add something to that? Oh. Politician? Governor.
Rest my case.
Governor.
No, senator. Senator.
Senator. Forget governor. Senator. Senator's the way to go. Senator's the way to go.
Come on.
Senator Feely's in the house, and he's sticking around to tell us a little more.
Yes, we wanted it because we want a level playing field for everybody, but it has to be right for the players. And we wanted a comprehensive drug policy, not just implementing HGH testing. So there's about 6 different things that are going to change if this gets passed tonight. HGH testing will be implemented. We'll start testing this year. Stimulants in the off season, if they're used, like the Wes Welker case, for instance, would be considered a substance abuse, not performance enhancing. So you wouldn't necessarily get the 4-game suspension right away. You would go into the drug program like you would with marijuana. The marijuana threshold itself will be increased. If you look at THC levels in marijuana, they've increased dramatically over the last 20 years. And so as it currently stands, you could test positive from secondhand smoke. WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, has raised their level 3 times what we're proposing to raise our level to. But that will go up so that you don't have a false positive.
But yours is still severe.
It's still severe, yeah. But it eliminates the potential for secondhand smoke, not somebody who's actually smoking marijuana. DUI penalties will get stronger, but there still be due process. So you're not going to be suspended before it goes through the whole legal system, which was very important to us. Obviously, neutral arbitration was something that we fought for and wanted and will have in some fashion. And the marijuana policy, which is probably the big one, will go from 4 stages, whether it's at, to 6 stages. And so you have multiple stages, which will encourage treatment. Okay. So you won't immediately start getting suspended after your second test failed positive. There'll be much more stages, much more encouragement on treatment, acknowledging that some people do get addicted to marijuana, and you're trying to help them, not just kick them out of the league.
Which, as a result, is why Josh Gordon's suspension is expected to be reduced.
Well, I can't talk about specific players, but I can talk about the policies in general and what it will do for players. So, a guy who may have tested and his THC level was minute, but it popped him. He could then, in retro, we fought hard for this policy to be enacted and have it retroactive so that anybody from the end of last season who tested positive, who under this new deal wouldn't have tested positive, would have it applied retroactively, because we didn't feel that it was fair. It was inherently unfair to say, Skip, you tested this week after the policy and you don't get suspended, but Stephen A., you tested 2 weeks ago and you had the same exact test, but you're suspended for 4 games and you're not suspended at all. That to us was inherently unfair, and we fought hard to have this policy implemented retroactively to last year, and if it gets passed, that's the case.
Okay, hang on 1 second, Stephen A. Quick question. So when Commissioner Goodell strengthened the domestic abuse policy, it wasn't supposed to be retroactive to get Ray Rice to go from 2 games to 6 games, which he should have. This is before everything else broke. But right? So why all of a sudden would this then be fair to be retroactive to Wes Welker, Skandrick, and Josh Gordon?
Good question. The drug policies are collectively bargained between the NFL. The personal conduct policy, which is what domestic abuse falls under, is not collectively bargained.
That was him.
So he can implement it and detail it however he wants, whereas all of this is collectively bargained, and we fought for it to be retroactive so that it was fair across the league.
All right. Stephen A.
I'm wondering, I have volume issues here, but let me ask you this. I'm wondering, and I know you can't speak about specific players, when you talk about treatment as it pertains to marijuana use, even in the event that you get suspended for however period of time, there was nothing in the policy beforehand, Jay, that mandated that you receive treatment even while you're suspended?
No, there was policies in place that you had to go through treatment. You had to get testing to up to, a certain amount of times a month. You had to go before a counselor. You had to get evaluated. But it's just a much more focused attempt at understanding that there's issues of addiction with marijuana, and the guys have trouble. That when you get suspended for 4 games after your second positive, it's not easy just to stop cold turkey and say, I'm never going to do marijuana again when I've been doing it my whole life since I was 13 years old. So this policy is more staggered. There's more stages. It's less penal, and you're trying to understand this problem and help the players to get off of marijuana, not just penalize them for doing it.
When you say that you're trying to understand the problem, are there any cases where guys have tried to make the argument that they're using marijuana for medicinal purposes as opposed to just recreationally, and
Sure.
that's something that was considered during the negotiations? Is that something that transpired at all?
There's 2 parts to that answer. Yes, a lot of players have tried to make that argument that it's medicinal, that it's better for you health-wise than a lot of the drugs that the doctors give you, but it's still illegal, and so that has never been a consideration because you're still going to get tested for marijuana. And if you're taking it for medicinal purposes, you're still going to test positive and get put in the program and go through these stages. So that's not alleviating anything and not allowing you to take marijuana for medicinal purposes.
Well, how do you deal with the issue that in the state of Washington and the state of Colorado, marijuana is actually legal in the state? Do you just sit there and say it's illegal to be used in the National Football League and that is that? Or how do you deal with that kind of challenge?
It's still illegal federally. And so because it's still illegal at the federal level, it's still illegal with the players, and it's still going to be a banned substance, and you're going to get tested for that, and you're not going to be able to do it. The raising of the levels was just to make sure that somebody didn't test positive for secondhand smoke, that it has to be a user, that has to be ingested in some way into your body.
So, Stephen A.
Yes, sir.
When you say stay off the weed, the NFL is now saying it's not just an easy decision for some of these guys. It's not like, I got to quit doing that because I'm going to blow my whole career. The NFL is acknowledging in some cases it can be an addiction, maybe even a disease. That you could say this young man is flawed, where he is so addicted he needs treatment, and we are not going to bust him so hard early. We're going to have 6 stages instead of 4 so that maybe he can seek help to save himself. Is that fair?
Exactly.
Okay.
You said it very well. And I'll give you an example. When Jim Irsay got in trouble and everybody talked about him, they talked about getting him help and trying to help him with his problems. And that's the same message that we want to send to the players, that we're going to try and help you with your problem. You can't do it. But speaking from somebody who's never done drugs, I didn't understand it. I couldn't understand. It was beyond the realm of anything fathomable to me that a guy could risk millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, because he can't stop smoking weed. Right? But then when you sit down and you talk to players, and you talk at a personal level in private conversations, and they talk to you about how that helped them get through, that was the only thing that they knew to rely on their whole childhood and into high school and into college, and that they've always done it, and how hard it is for them to stop doing it because when there's stress and pressure, that's the only thing they know to go back to. Yeah. Then you understand how deep that problem is and how difficult it is for them to just stop cold turkey.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and I can't even express to you, Jay, how much I appreciate your position on this because it's well needed, and your level of understanding and your willingness to embrace that kind of position from the players is to be commended. I, on the other hand, I have to fall back on personal experiences. Was I a weed smoker? No, I was never about that because to me, anything that could potentially provoke dependency is something that weakens you as a man, as a human being, and you certainly don't want to find yourself in that position. That's just my thing. But growing up in the streets of New York City, surrounded by all of that, practically my entire young life, at least for the first 25 years of my life, having friends and family members, and the list goes on and on. I used to use the line, Skip, Jay, Kerry, you can't get addicted to something you never tried. Mm-hmm. And I do understand that once you try it, and you put yourself in that position. But what I have concerns about, Jay, and if I come across as unsympathetic, I must acknowledge to you, I don't give a damn in this particular situation. Here is why. I totally appreciate your position, the position of the Players Association, and what you're on the verge of signing with the NFL. I totally get it, and I don't disagree with anything that you said. My concern, however, is that going from the 4-step to the 6-step policy, understanding that it gives an opportunity for players to receive treatment, being incredibly sensitive to everything that you said they articulated to you as it pertains to how they've been dealing with this all their life, et cetera, et cetera. Along the way, you understand what it's going to cost you. And successfully, you went about the business of getting over, of violating policies that were in place. And to me, what happens and what we need to take into consideration, more so than anything else, yeah, you may have a problem. But before that problem reached astronomical proportions to the point where you ultimately couldn't help yourself, you were diligently spending your energy going about the business of trying to circumvent and get around rules and regulations that govern us all. And if you continue to do that, or that's fostered by anybody, whether it be you, the Players Association, the media, or whomever, where do we go from there? I understand that the policy needed to be modified, and I totally agree with you. And there are cases where people desperately need help, but you got guys that don't even want to admit it. They'll lie to your face, Jay.
Sure.
They'll lie to the face of DeMaurice Smith and others who represent their best interests. And that's where my concern comes in. Because if you're doing it in one category, how far are you going to go in other ways, in regards to other issues to get over? I think we need to be careful about making sure that folks understand it's not about getting over.
I hear you.
It's about getting yourself help. It's entirely different than you trying to get over just because recreationally this makes you feel good. There's a lot of things we can't do because it makes us feel good because we've got rules and regulations to follow.
No, I hear you. And Stephen A., to further your point, we talked about the message that we were going to send to America's youth. You know, it was brought up, well, maybe we should fight for eliminating all testing on marijuana like some of the other leagues do. And we talked about what kind of message will that send to the youth of America if we say it's okay to do marijuana? What kind of implications will that have on the culture, you know, in the United States because of the position that football has in this country as being the most popular game and setting the standard and trying to be held to a higher standard. And so those were conversations that we had, exactly what you're talking about, knowing that this level is deep, and the problems that exist are not just this drug.
Okay.
They go on much deeper levels.
Before we go, quickly, I have to address that what, for me, is the most monumental breakthrough here is HGH testing in the National Football League that relies so heavily on size, strength, and recovery on a weekly basis. And you were saying, is this going to be a needle test? It has to be.
It has to be blood.
It has to be a blood test, right? Well, this is monumental, and it's going to have a huge and I think fairly immediate impact because, listen, this is just me. I'm scared to death of HGH long-term because we don't know enough about it. But if I played in your sport and you didn't test, I promise you I would use it every week for recovery.
And we don't know the number of you have no idea what the number is of guys that are using it. But players want a level playing field.
Okay.
They don't want some guy to be able to recover quicker than somebody else or to be stronger artificially than somebody else. So we've wanted this testing, but it had to be the right kind. You couldn't just implement it and not have it right for the players. And so we've worked over a 3-year period and taken heat from Congress and Senator McCain and a lot of different people that have wanted to force us to get this testing. And if this passes tonight, then that's going to be the first step in getting that.
Do you think we'll see some shrinkage?
I don't.
Well,
okay.
seriously.
We're going to break. Jake Locker and the Titans look to have their first 2-0 start since 2008 in their home opener when they faced Tony Romo and the Cowboys, while the Cowboys try to avoid an 0-2 start. According to Elias, teams that start 1-1 have a 41% chance of making the playoffs. Teams that start 0-2, no bueno, 12% chance. Well, what?
Well, you never know.
Oh, okay. Because they're talking about the Cowboys, so you do never know. Will they fall to 0-2, Bayless?
Stephen A. Smith, you got to go easy on me today. I'm having a bad day when it comes to predictions, and I'll admit that up front. I'm in I'm in big trouble here on 2 predictions, on Seattle at San Diego, and unfortunately on this one, Dallas at Tennessee. I will be the first to admit that before the season started, as I made a case for Dallas by default stealing the NFC East with a 10-6 record, I said they had a chance to start the year 3-0. Because we all remember, it's now a distant memory, the 49ers came in reeling with all kinds of player losses on defense, and the offense had been wildly inconsistent. Heck, not even wildly. It had just been flat out inconsistent through the preseason, couldn't score. And I thought, okay, the Dallas Cowboys' explosive offense can offset little or no defense. And it was just the opposite against the 49ers at Jerry World. Obviously, if DeMarco Murray is going to cough it up on the third play of the game and Tony Ono is going to throw 3 interceptions in the first quarter and a half against the 49ers, and they are going to be handed 2, here you go, run it back into the end zone kind of touchdowns, I'm going to lose, and I'm going to lose badly. But my defense kind of hung in there. And by the way, Orlando Scandrick, welcome back. I think maybe tonight, if it gets voted through, I got a chance with him. But the Dallas defense did hang in. Dallas won the second half 14-0. But just as my hopes were starting to rise, Tennessee goes to Kansas City and just wipes them out. Jake Locker looks like Peyton Manning. Sean Green runs wild against Kansas City. And all of a sudden, Ken Wisenhunt's new creativity and the confidence he's building there, everybody's excited about the Titans, who now are at home for their home opener, and my Cowboys are in the wrong place at the wrong time. But just because I've already put it in concrete, I've got to hang in there, and I'm going to pick the huge upset. It's now a huge upset.
Okay.
That Dallas will somehow pull off a 30-28 shocker against Locker and company in Nashville. That's all I got for you, Stephen A., and I wouldn't bet a nickel on it.
Let me tell you something, Skip Bayless, right now.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is look into that camera and tell America that you absolutely, positively love your little brother from another mother. Because I'm about to back you up by telling you I agree with you, Skip Bayless.
You're going to jinx me?
The Dallas Cowboys are going to win this Sunday.
Don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't do it to me. Now I'm dead. I'm dead. I lost. 0-2.
0-3.
I'm here for you, Skip.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
here for you.
me.
Listen. Wisenhunt works magics with quarterbacks. We understand that. He did a good job when he was in San Diego as the OC last year with Phillip Rivers. Resurrected his career. We understand that. We saw what Wisenhunt did with Kurt Warner, even though some would say Kurt Warner was Kurt Warner because he won a Super Bowl in St. Louis years earlier. But he had some rough patches in his career in between, really shining in Arizona. Wisenhunt has a really, really good reputation with quarterbacks. I think he's working good things with Locker. Locker had a 111 rating last week.
It was great.
Completed 66% of his passes. I mean, that wasn't bad at all. And so when you look at it, their offense is not a juggernaut. I remember Sean Green from his days in New York with the Jets. Brother can play. Sankey, let's see what he's going to do. Only had 25 yards rushing last week. We understand all of that. But I just think that when you look at the Cowboys, the reason why I'll give them the edge is because I think they can put up points because I think Kansas City was a fluke last year. I know Jamal Charles is no fluke. But I just think them as a team, offensively, they're just not all that. They just aren't. And I look at Alex Smith, even though he deserves his money, and I'm happy he got his money because the man wins football games, he's essentially, to me, a glorified game manager. So it doesn't mean much to me that Tennessee went and beat Kansas City last week. When I look at the Cowboys, I think they can put up points against these boys. And I think if you can put up points against the Tennessee Titans are going to have problems, even against the pathetic, anemic defense that is the Cowboys, of retaliating in kind and doing what they need to do. So I can see the Dallas Cowboys putting up just enough points to squeeze out a victory here, because even though Tennessee's defense is impressive, it's not a juggernaut. Dallas is going to score, and their defense somehow, some way, what they did with San Francisco. Can we definitively and legitimately say, Skip, that Kendall Wright and Nate Washington with Jake Locker throwing the football, with Sean Green running the football, is a better offense than Kaepernick and Gore and Bolden and Crabtree and Davis with that offensive line? I don't think we can do that. And if the Dallas Cowboys can be competitive in the second half, holding them scoreless, even though that was kind of a fluke because they were running away with the game anyway. They probably took the second half off. Starters probably secretly went into the concession area, ordered some popcorn and soda, chilled out, sending their reserves, called their girlfriends and watched. How y'all doing? You see us stomping the Cowboys right now? They probably did that and we didn't know. But still in all, San Francisco is better offensively than the Tennessee Titans. And if the Dallas defense can show up in the second half. I think they can show up for 60 minutes against a Tennessee offense, and I think it'll be enough for Dallas to squeeze out a 27-24 victory in this game.
Carrie.
What's the problem?
I'm asking permission of you and our producers to do something I've never done in the history of this show. Could I change my pick right now?
Why?
I'm serious. I got to change my pick.
Because you think he jinxed it.
He jinxed it. I got no shot. Seriously, I'm going. At least I'm going to be on the right side.
Okay. I don't think you
on the wrong day.
Hey, Carrie, I have a confession.
Make a
have a confession.
Yes, darling.
I'm jinxing him on purpose. I love it.
I know. So.
Oh, that's wrong.
This is my.
I'm doing it to him all season.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to unjinx my jinx.
Okay.
Seriously, I am picking Tennessee.
Okay.
It's too late.
30-10.
Okay, because that means the Cowboys
30-10.
Okay.
I got it. 30-10.
So,
go Titans.
So the logic is that the Cowboys will now win because he changed his pick and Stephen A. picked the Cowboys, right? So don't
talk about it. Just let it lay. Just let it lay. I'm picking Tennessee.
He's picking Tennessee.
From week to week, I'm not gonna tell him which team. Right. But it's either going to be the Cowboys or the Patriots. From week to week, I'm going to jinx Skip.
Okay.
Mark my words. Week to week.
I like it. Let's keep it like that.
I don't like it.
I commute from Schenectady to Manhattan. It's about a 6-hour round trip. But it's cool. My family loves Schenectady, and I love books on tape. It's a lot of time to spend driving alone. On the other hand, Schenectady is really close to the highway, so...
Life is a long drive. Make sure your car is along for the ride. Mobile Super Motor Oil is formulated to help prevent sludge and protect against wear. Mobile Super, for long engine life.
The Packers avoided throwing to Richard Sherman's side of the field last Thursday, choosing to put Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb on the other side, while Sherman had the left side all to himself. Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers said San Diego won't be as predictable when they take on the Seahawks this Sunday. Here's his quote. Well, I certainly understand why the Packers did that. Sherman is a great corner, but at the same time, I think you have to be smart. It's not one of those deals that you want to go after him by any means, but our approach is not going to be to completely eliminate Sherman and not throw over there any. All right, so here's the question. Should Rivers go after Richard Sherman? Jay Feely back at the desk for you.
Well, should he go after him directly? No, not in particular, but you can't be afraid of him, Skip.
Yep.
You can't go out on the field and be afraid to go after anybody on that field. It shrinks the field. It shrinks what you're able to do. When you looked at the Packers, I don't know whether it was their game plan or if it was Aaron Rodgers, which wouldn't make sense to me because that's not Aaron Rodgers' personality, but they avoided him like the plague. They stayed over on the opposite side, on the right side. They tried to do everything that way, which made it very easy for Seattle to defend a team that I think is a very good offense in the Green Bay Packers. And you can't do that as a quarterback. When I was at Michigan and we won the national championship, we had Charles Woodson, and that's exactly why we were able to win that, because he was a cover corner who shut down that best receiver. We shaded our safeties away from him to the other side and let him have that whole side of the field. And we would not have won the national championship if it weren't for Charles Woodson. And if it was the only player on that defense who was good, and specifically in that secondary, Richard Sherman, I could see avoiding him and going after the other guys. But when you have Cam Chancellor, and when you have Earl Thomas, and Maxwell's a pretty good corner as well, you can't avoid one person because you're playing into their strengths. You're allowing them to dictate what you want to do offensively, and you have to dictate to them what you want to do. To be successful against Seattle, you have to dictate to them, put them in the defenses that you want them to be in. And by doing that, the Packers played right into their strength. And yes, sir?
Senator Feely. I need a direct answer because we all know how astute you are about this game. Give it to me straight, sir, because anybody that watches this show knows how I feel about the bad man that Aaron Rodgers is. But I have never been more disappointed than I was in him when he went up against the Seattle Seahawks to open that Thursday night. That is not an accident. That is not, I don't know, a mistake schematically or whatever. That is not that, Jay Feely. Aaron Rodgers avoided Richard Sherman. Am I factually correct in saying that?
My assumption would be, based on an educated opinion, that it was game plan, that it wasn't Aaron Rodgers' decision. that they said schematically we want to avoid him. Aaron Rodgers is not going to avoid him. That's not his personality. He loves to take people on. He's fiery.
Hold on, Jay. I got to ask you this question. Listen, this is Aaron Rodgers. He's a Super Bowl champion. Clearly I think the best quarterback in football. Clearly one of the top 3. He doesn't have the clout to sit there and say to Mike McCarthy, we're not avoiding this dude. We're going to go after him just like we go after anybody else. He doesn't have the clout to do that?
Stephen A., even your greatest quarterbacks are going to listen to their coaches. Tom Brady, if they have a game plan and they're going to run the ball, he's going to run the ball because that's what Bill Belichick wants him to do. If Aaron Rodgers was told we're going to avoid Richard Sherman because we think we have a better opportunity to put our best receivers on the other side and to stay away from him, he's going to do what the coaches told him to do. And obviously that's what they did in that game plan.
Wow, so you think it's all about Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy made that decision. Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with it.
I don't think that is Aaron Rodgers' personality at all. And Phillip Rivers is the same kind of guy. He likes the challenge. He loves to go after you. He likes going back and forth like he always did with the Denver Broncos. So I can see him wanting the opportunity. Now, I don't think it's smart to keep trying him because I think Richard Sherman will make you pay. But with the depth they have in their secondary and the talent they have, you can't avoid one person.
Okay. Quick point before we proceed, because you brought his name up. Better quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
Right now, today?
Yes.
That's a tough question. Aaron Rodgers has more weapons. I still think Brady's a better quarterback.
Thank you.
You know why he was going to say that?
Well, they kind of know each other.
They know each other from college.
Well, I thought it was a great question.
It's a biased opinion.
I needed that. I needed that opinion on this show right now. Okay, back to the question at hand. Okay. Richard Sherman obviously had a spectacular year last year, but given the fact he only stays on that one side of the field and he is surrounded by those 2 safeties and a bunch of linebackers, starting with the guy we've had on, Bobby Wagner, who can hit and cover, and with a pass rush that might not be quite what it was last year with Chris Clemons and Red Bryant, but still looked pretty good against Aaron Rodgers in the opener. They got him 3 times. And that wasn't quite like the 8 times they sacked him 2 years ago.
They put pressure on him throughout the game.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure on him. So my point is, and my question is, you know Richard very well from player reps, obviously. Would you rank him now as the top corner?
That's a tough question. I think if I rank the corners right now, I would probably say Joe Hayden, Patrick Peterson, Richard Sherman. And when you look at Patrick Peterson, I think he'll be the best corner in the NFL. And I've said before in the show I thought he was the best corner. But he has more talent around him this year than he's ever had. They have a better secondary, which will elevate him and make him a better player because he has more help, which is what Richard Sherman benefits from. Most of the time, unlike the Packers game, teams can't just avoid him because of the talent they have in the rest of that secondary. So they have to go at him, which allows him the opportunity to make more interceptions, which is what happened last year, where you can avoid Patrick Peterson. Well, now you have talent with Antonio Cromartie. You got Justin Bethel, who's a great corner.
Yes.
You have Matthew coming back. So they have a lot more talent. And I think Joe Hayden, although he doesn't have the talent around him, he's a spectacular cornerback, and he's a special player.
I have not seen enough of him. Have you?
No, but it's the Cleveland Browns because you haven't seen the Cleveland Browns and they haven't won, and he hasn't been a focus of much attention. But he's as good or better than anybody. Yeah,
you buy that ranking, Stephen A?
I don't mind it. What I would challenge is when you talk about Arizona having and Peterson having a better secondary, having better weapons than he has before. I can agree with that based on the personnel that you brought up. But what about losing Dockett in Washington? How much of an effect do you think that's had on the defense? And do you still feel as strongly with your statement knowing that those 2 guys are out?
I think that has a dramatic impact on that defense. The strength of their team last year, the Cardinals, was that defense. They stayed in games with the defense and won it late. The strength this year will have to be the offense because they're weak at the linebacker position, especially on the outside. They're not going to get pressure on the quarterback consistently. They can't cover tight ends or running backs out of the backfield. So you're going to stay away from the secondary. You're not going to challenge the secondary because there's a weakness that you can go after and exploit.
Okay, I'm trying to lay out of this segment because I'm trying to avoid predicting again, as I did at the top of the show, this game because I'm in big trouble on this game. But I'm going to let you shame me, Jay Feely, as you have many times on this show. How bad does my preseason prediction that this will be Seattle's only loss in 16 games now look to you?
I don't see Seattle losing at all. I see them winning big. You know, when you look at the problems the Chargers had in the second half against Arizona, and you say what they didn't do, knowing the weaknesses of the Cardinals and knowing that they have a tight end like Gates and they can get the ball to running backs like Woodhead in the space where the Cardinals are weak, and not exploiting that and not doing that and giving up a big lead like they've done time and time again.
They have.
I don't see them having a chance against Seattle. And Seattle looks so good, and they have very few weaknesses anywhere. I mean, they lost Lane to IR, on defense he covers their slot receivers, and that could be a problematic. But they are so solid and so focused, and Pete Carroll has them playing exactly the way he wants to, and they bought into everything. And Russell Wilson doesn't make mistakes. He's such a good quarterback at doing what they want to do, pounding the ball with Marshawn Lynch and playing play action, and they're creative enough to take advantage of his strengths, and you saw that last week.
So you think Seattle wins by 5 touchdowns?
No, I would say they win by 17.
By 17?
And that's a big, huge spread in the NFL.
Well,
when you consider most games are within
Skip
3
speak
points.
Earlier, was it 20
to 19?
2019.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah,
and don't ask me how. Just don't ask me how. I just got 20
If they turn the ball over offensively, the Chargers, if they can get turnovers by Seattle, by a fumble or Russell Wilson, then they have an opportunity. You don't get turnovers, you're not beating Seattle.
All right.
What do you think, Stephen A?
Your pick.
I think Seattle wins this game 21-13.
Okay.
Well, at least you give me a little respect there.
2019, so says Bayless. I just want you guys to remember that. Feely says they'll win by 17 points. Senator's going to take a break. He's going to come back and join us for the rest of the show, but we're giving you a little break. Get some coffee, relax. In May, Marcos Maidana came closer than anyone else has to becoming the first person to defeat Floyd Mayweather Jr. within the last decade. And now 4 months later, Mayweather has agreed to the second rematch of his entire career. It's Mayweather-Maidana 2. Tomorrow at 8, Maidana looking to close the deal this time around. In fact, Stephen A's camp says he's had more time than ever to prepare, as opposed to last time where he only had, 5 weeks or so. He says now he has more time than ever to prepare for this fight. Do you give him a shot?
Give who a shot?
Maidana? Yeah, Marcos Maidana.
Is that a trick question?
No, it says it here. It says it here. There, and then here.
Are you kidding me? I can't believe this question is. Listen. We can sit here, and obviously there are things outside of the ring that Floyd has said and done that we can be critical of. But this conversation right here, Skip Bayless, is about what's going on inside the ring. Not only am I not worried. Listen, man, Skip Bayless, I got my bag of cheese doodles. I got that ready. I'm not going to drink any soda, Skip. I'm not going to do any of that. But I'm just planning on chilling out, sitting back and relaxing, and telling you right now, there's absolutely, positively nothing to worry about. This is only the second rematch that Mayweather has granted in his illustrious, unblemished career. And it's going to, it's just, I don't even know if Madonna's going to touch him. I really, really don't. Listen, he came in the first fight. Floyd Mayweather Jr. came right after him, talked about how he was going to make him uncomfortable. He swung for the fences. It was a very interesting fight for the first 6 rounds. I give Maidana at least 3 or 4 of those rounds. It was absolutely positively entertaining. It was at least an even fight, or with Maidana winning for the first 6 rounds. And then Floyd adjusted because his defense was poor all night long. He took entirely too many shots, but then he took him to school, and that was on a rusty night, with no motivation whatsoever. Now, people saying they thought Maidana actually won more rounds and that he could possibly beat Floyd and all of that stuff. Floyd called it best, Skip. It's not the Da Vinci Code. It's the Ma Vinci Code, as in May Vinci Code, Mayweather. Please. It's just, listen, there's always a chance. There's always a chance because it's boxing and you can catch somebody with a punch. But I'm really wondering whether or not Maidana, unless you count those sweeping, illegal behind-the-head blows, I'm actually wondering.
Now they're illegal.
I'm actually wondering if Maidana is going to touch Mayweather this fight. To me, that's the only question. Will he get an opportunity to touch him outside of knocking him in the back of his head? Because he won't catch him. Please. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
Or unless you have something to say. Yeah?
I'm speechless.
Oh, okay.
What?
At that diatribe you just leveled at Marcos Maidana. This man deserves more respect from you than you just gave him. Because this man cut your man. He made him bleed real blood. Floyd Mayweather Jr. actually had to be a boxer that night. He had to be involved in a fist fight that night. And your contention that Floyd will be able to sit on his stool between rounds and eat cheese doodles, which is basically what you're saying, is extremely flawed and extremely dangerous to your man Floyd Mayweather Jr. And again, we are separating the man from the entertainer/boxer.
Right.
So we spoke our pieces last week about Floyd out of the ring.
This week, right?
And yes, sorry, this is the past week.
Yep.
So I am looking forward to this fight because I saw a man in Marcos Maidana who in May showed all of us, including you, that he can do one thing that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has never, ever even dreamed of doing. He can punch with power. Punch with power. And he caught Floyd a few times. Now, if you're trying to tell me that Floyd took him lightly, he was rusty, I don't think so. Because for about 6 rounds, as you said, that was a fight. And Floyd was involved in the fight, and he was in some trouble in the fight. I will give you this. He figured out, he broke Maidana's code in the 6th round, and he started to figure out how to avoid those blows, which were taking their toll. But Maidana says that he just ran out of gas because he was not trained to go 12 rounds. Because remember,
his wife had a baby.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Kerry. Kerry's on my side on this.
Come on, Kerry.
Okay,
give me some more excuses.
So
remember, go ahead.
Maidana, everybody he has fought, everybody he fights, they go down quickly. So why should this man have to be in condition to go 12 rounds? Well, this one could go 12 rounds, unless, of course, there's that one punch that gets thrown in round 10 or round 9. You never know.
Right.
It's that Pacquiao style, whoops, I walked into it kind of punch.
Uh-oh.
That's possible.
You did not say
it's possible.
Skip just said he's going to sleep. Skip just said he's going to sleep.
Pacquiao walked
He just said he's going to sleep.
I just said it.
Yeah.
I
Did you
said
see
it.
that?
And you,
Manny, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay,
Yeah, he was okay
Manny?
enough to play chess an hour later. But that's okay.
Hey, listen, Skip. It's real cute that you could come up with this, and I respect it because, I know how badly you would love to see Floyd lose. It's really hysterical. It's very, very comical, Listen, bottom line, Skip Bayless, is simply this. I'm telling you right now, I'm really sad for you because it's a Friday. You get ready to go out here. Gonna spend some time with the lovely Ernestine. You're gonna enjoy your weekend. And Skip, I'm like, wait a minute. You got your Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they're gonna mess up your weekend, okay? You got your Seattle Seahawks with San Diego. They're gonna mess up your weekend. But even before that, you're gonna sit up there and you're actually gonna pay for this fight. You're gonna look for Floyd Mayweather. You're gonna look for Floyd Mayweather to lose. Skip, I am not only guaranteeing you that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to win this fight, I'm almost tempted to bet that he doesn't get touched in the face. I'm just trying to tell you here. I don't know what else to say. You're giving this guy a rematch. Floyd has already been in the ring with you. He knows your tendencies. He knows how you fight. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is not Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner can fight. Adrian Broner is very good. His problem is that he plays around too much. And he doesn't throw enough punches. And he went into the ring with Maidana, and Maidana cracked him, dropped him in the 2nd round, and then dropped him in another round. Floyd is not Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner didn't take care of himself while he had the time off. Floyd is always in shape. Adrian Broner adopts Floyd's tendencies in terms of constantly being in shape and dedicated to his craft. Adrian Broner could be the best, one of the best himself, but he got to stop playing. Floyd doesn't play. Floyd will be ready, and Floyd will give Maidana a boxing lesson. He might not touch Floyd in the face. He might not touch him in the face.
Let me ask you, help me out here because, memory fades here. How old is Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's starting to look like senior? We might have to change his name to senior. He's 37 years of age. You know what? One of these nights, you're going to think you're watching Fred Sanford in the ring. I'm serious.
Oh, you're so disrespectful.
Am I?
My Lord, you're so disrespectful. The nerve, the unmitigated gall. How dare you be so disrespectful to the greatest in the game right now? You're so disrespectful.
37
Floyd Mayweather
years
Jr.
of age?
Let me tell you something right now. Floyd, I would give you this. To me, there are two fights that we should want Floyd with. Miguel Cotto, who under Freddie Roach is looking better and better, okay? And I'd love to see that rematch. And Canelo Alvarez. Floyd and I, Skip, got into an argument during the NBA Finals because I was mad at Floyd for taking this fight. I said, what are you wasting your time for? Why are you? I thought you wanted to give the viewers what they wanted to see. Who cares when you beat Maidana? What does that mean? What does that accomplish? It means nothing. It's a waste of his time. Pacquiao, Cotto, and Canelo Alvarez are the only three fights that Floyd should consider from this point forward.
Why Alvarez?
I think tomorrow night's
I already
a waste
saw
of time.
Alvarez. Alvarez had no chance. He had no chance.
Now, you're right, because he was young, inexperienced, or whatever. But he's a better boxer. He's faster than Maidana as well. And I think being in the ring with Floyd, I'm not saying right now next, but I'm saying a couple of fights down the line after Floyd gives Manny Pacquiao a boxing lesson he deserves, after he beats Cotto again, then you go and you fight Canelo Alvarez. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But the point is, Maidana's not in the conversation. He might not touch. Floyd should go and get the nice shave,
Maybe
have
he
the
will.
goatee tight, shave the bald head.
Okay.
You might not see Floyd break a sweat. You might not see him break a sweat.
I hope that Floyd listened to you. Would you see him at the NBA Finals? And he'd start thinking, what am I fighting this guy for? This is a cakewalk for me. I hope he walks into that ring thinking, well, give me some cheese doodles.
Give me some cheese.
Yeah,
well, I think Stephen A's having the cheese doodles.
but Floyd could munch in between rounds.
Okay, in between. Stephen A, we got to get out of here as you have your tea. Maidana landed the most punches of any Mayweather opponent since 2002.
Thank you.
But Vegas says he's a 1-7 favorite. That's what Vegas says.
My main focus right now is focusing on the Detroit Lions. I think I got my hands full trying to find ways to stay protected by Donkey Kong Sue and my fellow Auburn teammate, Nick Fairley.
Approached you or your representatives about a contract?
No, sir. My main focus is the Detroit Lions. I think I got my hands full trying to stay protected from Donkey Kong Sue and my fellow Auburn teammate, Nick Fairley.
Not to belabor the contract deal, but a couple guys from your class got extended. Do you think that'll happen in due time?
Right, and like I said, my main focus is the Detroit Lions and trying to stay protected. I think I got my hands full with trying to get protected by Donkey Kong Sue and my fellow teammate, Nick Fairley. Thank you.
What was that? Come on, Cam. In case you missed it, that was Cam Newton during his press conference on Wednesday as he prepares to return to the field on Sunday against the Lions. And just on balance, Stephen A., they asked Ndamukong Suh of the Detroit Lions to respond. He had no response. What do you make of Cam Newton's presser?
Very immature in a multitude of ways, very insulting, and to be quite honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, not a laughing matter for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't want to hear some black man being referred to as Donkey Kong. And I'm quite sure I'm not the only person that feels that way, at least as a black man. That's number one. Number two, questions, legitimate questions being asked to Cam Newton at a press conference. You are the quarterback and the face of a franchise. Cam Newton is an intelligent young man. He's incredibly accomplished. He has a magnetic smile. He knows how to articulate himself. He's improved by leaps and bounds. And as far as I'm concerned, yesterday, he took a flagrant step backwards. Number three, and perhaps more importantly, figuratively speaking anyway, get the Hurts ready. You are a quarterback. It's not like you're a boxer and you're getting ready to get into the ring where you can defend yourself. When you're playing the quarterback position, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Feely. Correct me if I'm wrong, Skip Bayless. But you have to rely on your offensive line and others to protect you. You don't get to protect yourself. And it's bad enough you've given ammunition to a crew to come after you. But one of them may be the primary target of your verbal, you want to call it satire or ire or whatever words you want to use. Your primary target happens to be somebody widely recognized as one of the most vicious defensive linemen in the game of football, and one of the most powerful. And this is the guy you antagonize. This is the guy that you talk about in such insulting and degrading fashion. It is a huge mistake, Skip Bayless. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, nor intimating, that Ndamukong Suh is going to do anything illegal. What I'm saying is he doesn't have to. He can give you legal, legit blows. It doesn't have to be a sack. It doesn't have to be something where we'll be counting the number of times he sacked Cam Newton. He may not get a chance to sack Cam Newton all afternoon long. Doesn't mean he won't get a chance to hit him. It's a mistake by Cam Newton of astronomical proportions. If you're watching Ndamukong Suh, if you study this game of football, which we do, Skip, that is not a dude you want to antagonize, man. That's a mistake. And
Senator.
Cam Newton, I predict, is going to pay dearly for it. I hope Ron Rivera and them got some game planning to protect Cam Newton. He will need it this weekend. I'm almost feeling sorry for him.
Cam. He's his own worst enemy. When it comes to public perception, he's his own worst enemy. You know, when you think about last week running onto the field during the timeout, which is illegal because he wasn't playing into the game, the Sue comments, you know, when you look at his negative demonstrative body language throughout his career when things aren't going well and the way people view him because of that. I think back even to the national championship game at Auburn when they had 3rd and goal and his coach told him, you know, to take a knee and they were going to kick the field goal and he called his own number and ran it in.
Did?
The people who know him personally, though, Carrie, you spent time with him.
Yep.
Players I've talked to, coaches that I've talked to, they love him. They like the person he is. They love the player that he is. They say he's a good guy, that he's fun to be around, that he cares about football. But his public perception is negative, and it's only his own fault because he does things like this that make people not like him or think a certain way about him. And I don't understand why he doesn't do it, or why he does it. Because if he would let the person shine through that everyone says they see
on the big stages,
in private.
On the big stages, like when he has these moments, he should let that shine through.
Let it shine through. Let everyone see it. Don't be like this. Don't do these stupid things that make people think negatively about you.
Well said. And I want to compliment Stephen A. That was powerfully and beautifully said about a young man that I try so hard to like because I have so much respect for him. We've had him on this show.
Yep.
You have interviewed him. There's so much good there.
So much.
He has so much to offer. There were stretches last year at the quarterback position that he played with such new maturity, and I thought he's on the edge of that breakthrough where he takes it up a whole nother echelon. And then I'm going to guess that on this fateful day, for some reason, he was annoyed with, irritated by, angry with somebody in the media. Somebody had upset him, or the questions had upset him. He was in a bad mood, and so he resorted to that. And again, Stephen A. said it's no laughing matter, and it's not. But you almost can't. It makes you chuckle nervously because you're not sure what he's doing, right? Like, what are you doing?
Why are you saying that?
I mean, it's like a bad Saturday Night Live routine. And you're saying, what has happened? Because, as Stephen A. said, you are the face of the franchise.
That's the key point.
Face of. And no matter what mood you're in, no matter what beef you have with which reporter who wrote this about that or said this about that, you can't show it publicly because you are on the national stage when you're on your local stage. Am I right? Because Absolutely. It's going to be on SportsCenter, and we're just probably going to talk about it on First Take.
Yeah.
So you took, as Stephen A. so eloquently stated, you took a step in maturity backward that shocks me because, listen, we had him on at the Super Bowl. He can be mesmerizing. Yeah. This kid he's not a kid, he's a young man. He has depth to him. Mm-hmm. He has power to him. He has a good brain. God gave him a really good brain. Yes. So what are you doing, Cam? Think about it.
Yeah, let me say this. You pointed that out. It's a luxury I believe he can't afford. And in full disclosure, you're right. I did an interview with him, spent a lot of time with him. And his heart, one second, is genuine. It really, truly is. But unfortunately, and Stephen A. said it best, is that this is sadly something he battles with being mature and not mature, being mature and not mature, because at heart he is a kid, and sometimes, unfortunately, he behaves that way. Stephen A., very powerful point, and I'll let you wrap it, but I do take into consideration what you're saying. Another black man should never call another black man a donkey.
From a football perspective, Jay, Skip, Ndamukong Suh is 6'4", 307 pounds, and vicious on that football field. Am I wrong in saying that I'm very concerned about Cam Newton for this Sunday? Jay, Skip?
No, I don't think so, man. And he's shown that he's volatile, that he can go off the handle and he can do things that are outside of the realm of self-control. You know, he's been in trouble as much as anybody. But the one thing that I keep going back to is that for some reason, I don't think Cam Newton, and you hit on a Skip, embraces the fact that he's the face of the franchise. If you're Arian Foster, you can do something like this in a press conference. It's no big deal, which he did, and people blow it over. You know, you can be annoyed with somebody if you're another position, a quarterback or receiver. If you're the quarterback, you can't do that. You have to understand at all times you're the face of the franchise. You represent everything about that franchise. And for some reason, he always seems to resist that a little bit.
He does.
Skip.
Yes, sir.
Skip, I just want to make this point. I am not joking. And I'm not saying that Ndamukong is going to do anything illegal. I am saying just strictly in the game of football. And Kerry, you can speak to this, especially when it comes to men, and particularly black men. Some of the most dangerous times is when people get quiet. Ndamukong had nothing to say.
No.
Refused to respond. Skip, it is my assumption, Jay, Kerry,
yeah,
he's just letting it stir up.
Yeah.
Come Sunday, I want to put on the record, I'm very, very concerned for Cam Newton. Very concerned.
All right. Let's hope he gets it together. Okay, on Sunday, the Patriots play the Vikings in Minnesota. The Vikings haven't won against New England since 2000, and the Pats haven't started a season 0-2 since 2001, which they still ended up, you know, getting their first ever Super Bowl title. So maybe not so bad, huh? Will the Patriots go to 0-2, Stephen A.?
The Patriots are not going 0-2 as long as Tom Brady is their quarterback and Bill Belichick's their coach. Not to mention the fact that Matt Castle missed the backup before he arrived in Kansas City and showed that he'd always be a backup, that ultimately got the starting job in Minnesota because they didn't have a quarterback worth starting. So basically you got the quarterback job by default. You're not beating the New England Patriots in week 2. Okay? It's not happening. Now, I understand that the Minnesota Vikings are improved. You got Zimmer, former defensive coordinator in Cincinnati, who can coach. You can wait for this opportunity. The defense is going to be respectable. They're not going to rank 30th. You're going to look at some things they still got AP, Adrian Peterson all day, the man, the myth, the legend. They got all of that. I understand. They got Cordarrelle. I get it. But these are the New England Patriots, who are fresh off of getting smacked around by the Miami Dolphins in every manner imaginable in the second half, getting outscored 23-0. And after you suffer such an embarrassing defeat like that, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick respond because America's team isn't going 0-2. They will win at the Vikings on Tuesday. America's team, the real America's team, will show up and handle their business. Don't worry, mere bag of shells.
I promise you it has not been an enjoyable week up in Foxborough with Bill Belichick after losing that game the way they did in New England. But if there's 3 people in the NFL that I trust, it's Tom Brady, Darrelle Revis, and Bill Belichick.
Wow.
You can't have 3 more professional and highly skilled people in their positions at a quarterback, at a cornerback, and at a coach. The only person that I would not trust is the GM, Bill Belichick, because I think he's refused or not provided Tom Brady with the weapons that he's needed continually at the receiver position. And this week is a good example. He could have drafted Patterson, and he decided to trade that pick to the Vikings, and they took him, and he is a stud player. Yep. He is a breakout player. He's going to have a phenomenal year. Even when he didn't catch the ball a lot last week, he still had 100 yards rushing. So they're not going to lose this game. There's no way. In addition, Stephen A., Castle played for Bill Belichick. He knows him well. He knows his weaknesses. And when Belichick knows what your weaknesses are, you don't stand a chance.
I'm here to tell you that the New England Patriots are in grave danger of falling to 0-2 because this man, Stephen A. Smith, picked them to win the Super Bowl. They are doomed. That they are hexed for all season long. Obviously, they're going to have some issues without Logan Mankins protecting Tom Brady and running the football, especially in the second half, without LeGarrette Blount. Those are two huge losses for this team. I'm not going to predict they are going to fall. I'm just telling you, because of this prediction, they are in danger of falling to 0-2. I would not be at all surprised because it was no small thing.
Jinxes this week.
But he's serious, though.
But I'm serious. And it was no small thing what the Vikings did to the visiting St. Louis Rams. It was 34-6.
Well, let's be honest.
The visiting St. Louis team didn't have a quarterback.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
34-6.
And you can't keep blaming Stephen A. Chicago Bears also looking to avoid an 0-2 start. The Bears have lost the last 7 games at San Francisco. Will the Bears fall to 0-2 on Sunday night, Stephen A.?
You know something? Of course they're going to. I mean, do you think they're going to beat the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco? I mean, listen, we all know Chicago's defense stinks this year. But on top of it all, they have Jay Cutler, Romo Midwest. That's really what it is. I mean, whether it's Cutler, I understand you got Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Forte. I get the personnel, Martellus Bennett. I get they have the personnel. Their offense is supposed to be a juggernaut. But the Chicago Bears, the Cowboys Midwest, have shown and proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that when you expect something from them on a positive level, they will certainly let you down. Just be patient. It's coming.
Okay.
I mean, just sit back, relax. Don't panic. It's coming. And that's exactly what's going to happen here.
The show's
They're
ending.
not going to be able to stop San Francisco.
The Bears don't have a chance out there.
No chance.
I don't believe so. They turned the ball over 3 times last week. They had 400 yards, but they turned it over. And you look at what the 49ers do well. They run the ball. They're going to pound the ball with Gore, and they're going to pound the ball with Hyde, and that's going to be the weakness for the Chicago Bears because that defense can't stop the run.
They gave up almost 6 yards a carry to the Buffalo Bills. Frank Gore and Carlos Hyde are going to run a marathon on Sunday. That's how bad it's going to be. Jay Cutler will have a very good game. He will outplay Colin Kaepernick, and it won't matter because the San Francisco 49ers will win easily 34-17.
Cutler's 2 games against the 49ers, 1 touchdown, 6 picks in his career.
Quickly, Senator Feely, always a pleasure. Please,
I had a
welcome
great
back
time.
as you are a free agent. Stephen A., it's not the same when you're not in studio. So I got your tea.
Listen. Stop
I got
acting
your
like
tea.
y'all miss me.
You
know y'all like me gone.
What?
Stop it.
You don't like him gone, do you?
I do not like him gone, but I want him gone on Monday because he's going to be right
no.
on everything.
I'll be here Monday.
Listen, you'll be
I'll
here
be
on Monday.
Monday.
It's a love,
you ain't gotta worry
not
about that.
so love relationship. We love you. What are you saying? Get here
Mayweather
Monday.
loses, he's